You see the headlines about the conflict between Iran and Israel, and it's easy to just think of it as another regional flare-up. But what if it's the spark for something much, much bigger? Well, some analysts are saying this isn't just about military strikes. It's a tremor along a major fault line in the global economy. Okay, let's dive into this.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about why this is more than just a regional war. Then we'll get into the world's oil money, find the economic pressure points, explore the real risks of escalation, and finally, ask the big question. Are we seeing the beginnings of a new global order? Okay, first up, we're going to reframe this whole thing. It's easy to get stuck on the immediate headlines, but we're going to explore how this could actually be the spark for a much larger global story. So this really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. Are we just watching a contained regional conflict, or are we feeling the first tremors of a global economic earthquake? And the answer? Well, it might just lie in a system that quietly powers pretty much everything. To really get why this conflict could have global ripple effects, we've got to talk about the world's oil money and the specific system that's now potentially at risk. Right. So this is what's called the petrodollar system. It sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. For decades, the world has agreed to buy and sell its most vital commodity, oil, using just one currency, the US dollar. I mean, this is the financial plumbing that literally keeps the lights on around the world. And you gotta understand, the implications of this are absolutely huge. Think about it. Since pretty much every country on Earth needs oil, they all need a big stash of US dollars to buy it. This creates this constant, massive global demand for the dollar. And that, in turn, strengthens the economic power of the United States in a way no other country can really match. And who are the key players keeping this whole system afloat? It's these major oil-producing Gulf countries, like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and others. They're the ones selling their oil in dollars, and then, and this is crucial, they pump that wealth right back in international markets. It completes the circle, you see. Okay, so if that's the system, where's the weak spot? Where is it vulnerable? Our third section is all about these economic pressure points, because, every system has them. And it really boils down to two major vulnerabilities we need to be watching. One is a physical, geographic choke point, and the other is a kind of strange financial imbalance that's built into modern warfare. All right, let's start with the geography. Just look at this number for a second, 20%. What in the world is that 20% of? Well, get this, nearly 20%, a fifth, of the entire planet's daily oil supply passes through one single narrow waterway, the Strait of Hormuz. This isn't just an important shipping lane. It is arguably the most critical economic choke point on Earth. Any disruption here isn't a local problem. It's a global crisis, just waiting to happen. So you might be asking, who's most at risk if something happens there? We're talking about the biggest economies in Asia, China, India, Japan, South Korea. They are all massively dependent on a steady flow of oil through that one little strait. For them, a blockage isn't just a problem, it's a potential catastrophe. And for the rest of us, we'd see energy prices go through the roof. Okay, now for that second pressure point, and this one is all about the, frankly, bizarre economics of modern conflict. It's not just about who has the biggest army anymore, it's also about who can afford to keep fighting the longest. So check this out, this is the really wild part. On one side, an attacker can send over a drone that costs, I don't know, a few $1,000s. Relatively cheap. But to shoot that cheap drone down, the defender might have to use an incredibly advanced defense system where a single interceptor missile can cost millions of dollars. You do that over and over again, and that economic drain, well, it can become just as damaging as any bomb. And all this leads us right to our next section, the risk of escalation. You can really think of it as a potential domino effect. The single biggest danger here isn't one particular battle or one strike. It's the risk that this whole thing spirals out of control and starts to threaten the critical infrastructure, those vulnerabilities we just talked about. If the fighting moves from military targets to the economic lifelines of the region, global markets would react in an instant. And when we say critical infrastructure, what are we talking about? We're talking about the big stuff, oil production facilities, those global shipping routes, even the massive water desalination plants in the Gulf. Look, an attack on any one of these isn't just a military move. It would send shockwaves of panic through the global economy, like immediately. So, where is all of this heading? For our last section, let's zoom out and look at what's really at stake here. Could we be on the verge of a new global order? Yeah, It's so important to see that when you look at it through this economic lens, the conflict stops being just about land or regional politics. It becomes about the very foundations of the global system we've known for the past half-century. So, at the end of the day, what are we really talking about? Three things. First, energy security for the entire world. Second, the stability of the global economy. And third, and this is the big one, the future balance of global power itself. All three are connected, and right now, all three are under pressure. Now, of course, nothing is set in stone here, and that's a key point. As one analysis puts it, whether this actually leads to a massive change or not, well, that all depends on how this conflict plays out, not over days or weeks, but over the next few years.
So that leaves us with the big question. We've laid it all out, the system, its weak points, and the risks of escalation. Could this conflict be that seismic fault line, the one that finally starts to crack and reshape the entire global economy? We'll just have to wait and see.